All right. Let's get this wonderful, wonderful autistic piece of artwork down. Um, I got Bohemian Grove. We got Masonry. And today we're going to talk about bits and pieces of the WEF. That's where we left off last time. Shit. I'm just going to put this down for now. Okay, so last time we left off, we were talking about the WEF. Now, the WEF, otherwise known as the World Economic Forum, is I think it is in Davos, Switzerland. The main man behind the content, which is discussed at the WEF, the lead, I should say, his name is Klaus Schwab. They have this saying called "Own nothing, and you will be happy." There's a lot of celebrities there. There's been Bono from U2. There's been Kevin Spacey. There's been Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. There's been Matt Damon. There's been Leonardo DiCaprio. There's a lot of people, and I can just keep going and going and going. And the only reason why I bring up that group in particular is because there are a bunch of other groups. I'm talking about a bunch of other groups with celebrities, with politicians, people in seats of political power, people who are making it their main mission to kind of repeat the same sentiment that other groups like the WEF or even Bohemian Grove is saying. Now, Bohemian Grove, that's a whole another can of worms, and I think right now, since we kind of have a good establishment on what the WEF is, we can talk about Bohemian Grove and Freemasonry coming up right here. So, now that we established who's kind of who, I would like to refer to the WEF as kind of like a puppeteering rack. All of them are puppets. None of them are puppeteerers. None of them are piloting the puppets in such a fashion where the actions of the puppet make sense. If you catch my drift, if you catch my meaning. I don't think the WEF necessarily holds power over Americans or even the media that we consume. Do I think it affects the media we consume? Yes, but it is not the media that we consume. Thus, that being stated so far, time to bust out the Wheel of Unfortune. So, today, I would like to draw your attention to my lovely whiteboard of miscellaneous research that I've put together. I would like to say the past 3 or 4 days. Now, up here, BG, that stands for Bohemian Grove. You kind of can't see it, or if you can't see it, kind of looks like a big fourth grader wrote all over it. I apologize, my handwriting is not that pretty. Now, we got Bohemian Grove in Masonry. Now, why do I have those two on a whiteboard? Why do I have these two on a whiteboard? Why do I have sentences and descriptions overlaying these two groups? I'm glad you asked that, because I decided to draw similarities. I decided to draw similarities and see, what's the difference between these two groups? And let me tell you, not much. Really not much. Really not much. You see, the goal of Freemasonry, the key of Freemasonry, and the overall goal is to reach enlightenment. Now, what is enlightenment, you ask? Enlightenment is knowledge. Knowledge equals enlightenment. Enlightenment equals the morning star, Lucifer. You see where I'm going with this? Now, it's funny I bring this up because Bohemian Grove, they have this big wooden owl thing that they burn, and a lot of people associate the owl, a representation of knowledge itself. They there seems to be a lot of similarities between the cremation of care and some sort of old Canaanite pagan god by the name of Moloch, who was associated with knowledge, but also associated with child sacrifice. Um, the cremation of care, from my understanding, from my vague understanding, and Bohemian Grove is probably it's gonna be the hardest one for me to do my research on, just because we don't know its current members. But with prior knowledge of Bohemian Grove's members, like I'm talking about Henry Kissinger, Heinz Alfred Kissinger, otherwise known as Henry Kissinger, someone who was involved with MK Ultra, people who are in political seats of power. I'm talking George H.W. Bush and his appointed Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. It's all a little fishy, right? It's all a little fishy, right? Because what would these random people in the middle of a forest in California, Bohemian Grove, what would they want to do with political seats of power? What could they possibly want to do with political seats of power? What could they possibly want to do? Because last time I checked, Bohemian Grove Club, the Bohemian Club, is something that they call it. You know, that was created by a bunch of artists. That was created by a bunch of authors back in the day, back in like 1919, something like that. What could a club like that possibly want with people in political seats of power? I just like to ask myself these very important questions. So, I'm gonna put on some pretty important dates for you guys. So, in 1717, Freemasonry first began in somewhere in Britain. Not completely sure. Don't twist my arm about it. Somewhere in Britain, Freemasonry started in 1717. In 1785, I can't exactly pinpoint when the Bavarian Illuminati began. I'll do more research on that, and I'll probably flash it up in post. I'll probably flash up a date in post for you guys. But yeah, the Illuminati ended in 1875 or 1885. I'm sorry, my apologies. However, in 1872, our good old friends at the Bohemian Grove began their club, the Bohemian Club, in 1872. In 1872, that happened. It was primarily made up of artists, authors, writers, not many people in seats of political power. However, now we turn to Freemasonry. Freemasonry, centuries old. Centuries old. So is the Bohemian Club. But Freemasonry is centuries old. And that's where I kind of you know, I'm not a big conspiratorial guy, but it's a little weird to me how when you are I'm going to take Ohio for instance, maybe you're going through Heath. If you go to Heath, Ohio, you'll find all these signs within the city limits, and they have the Masonic orders like emblem. They have its emblem on those street signs. I know where Masonic temples are, and I know where more than one of those signs are that's on the road with the Masonic emblem. I do not understand why someone in not really a group I would per se. These groups I'm talking about, they're more like occults, I would say, because you don't really go to the chess club in college and burn a gigantic wooden monolith of an owl that some people associate with Moloch, the god of knowledge, who's also associated with child sacrifice. I don't know a lot of clubs who do that. I haven't been in many clubs. I've been in a couple of stuff in high school, like the Socratic Society. That's basically just people asking a bunch of questions in history class. But this stuff, man, this stuff is weird because the cremation of care, it leads me down into other things like the phoenix, like firebirds from different mythologies. For in Greece, the phoenix firebird, we all know how it happens, reborn from its ashes. Bennu, an Egyptian bird. This one is also associated with the phoenix, but the reason why it's associated with the phoenix is because of the sun god Ra, the god of the sun. In the Egyptian pantheon, there is a sun god by the name of Ra, and he is associated with Bennu. I'm not really sure how it goes, but I'm pretty sure Bennu, um, Bennu is most likely reborn from their ashes. They are involved with a fire in some way, shape, or form. And that also leads me down to one final firebird. I'm pretty sure there's one firebird in Persian mythology, which may as well just mirror Greek mythology. But Anzu, Anzu, I will call him Anzu. Uh, Anzu is a Sumerian demon who's half man, half bird, and can breathe fire. And that's the last really similar thing that I found between those two. I could probably find more if I dig deep enough, like Aztec, Incans. There's a lot of other different religions and mythologies that most likely have the firebird or the firebird symbology. But the cremation of care, the cremation of care ritual inside of the Bohemian Club represents reincarnation, rebirth. It represents severing the soul from the body. And in many other religions, people view cremation as getting oneself ready for reincarnation because you are severing that final link in the physical world. You are getting your soul ready to reincarnate because your soul is no longer anchored down to a mortal body. Which leads me to another thing. The phoenix. The phoenix, from the moment it's born, from my understanding, in Greek mythology, the phoenix kindles a fire in its beak, and by the time it reaches the end of its life, it is consumed by its flames and it is reborn from its ashes. Some people even say that the phoenix's feathers can provide its own light, and that the phoenix may have also had the same color feathers as, let's say, a peacock. Some people thought that. Some people think that the phoenix's eyes were a sapphire blue, and it gave off a sapphire blue. Um, other creation myths, other mythologies talk about how its feet were golden scales. But that's as far as I'm going with the cremation of care. Both of these secret societies, both of these occults, groups, whatever you want to call it, I'm sticking with good old plain and simple occults. Both of these guys, and it is very interesting how we can see that two completely different groups from two completely separate times are created with the same goal and outcome, which is enlightenment. I don't see Bohemian Grove, I don't see current members, which, by the way, it's so very, very hard to find the current members. If you can even find find out who the current members are. They got that stuff locked down, locked under several safety deposit boxes. And to me, that's fishy. Because if you guys don't want to release the list of your current members and something you guys say that's not a cult, it's a little fishy, and it makes me think that it's a cult. Because reason for me to believe that there are people in your occult that have seats of political power, you just might. you know, George H.W. Bush isn't someone you just, it's not a name you throw around at a dinner table anymore. You know, it hasn't been for the last, I don't know how many years. You know, George Bush wasn't president when I was like 7. So, I don't know.